Cool. Good evening, Silindile. How are you? How are you tonight?
Good evening, Andrew. I'm good. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for honoring my invite to come and just tell us about, what it is that you do, and as well as, the conversation we're going to be having tonight with our attendees on the webinar about some of the trending strategies going into 2021. So
Excellent.
do we have the people that are in yet? Let me just have a
Yeah,
look.
I can see.
Okay,
I can see
awesome. So
some
we already have
familiar
some people
names.
coming in. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Just let us know in the comments where you're from, so we just have an idea of whereabouts in the country everybody is. And then just by way of introduction, some of you do know me. My name is Lindile. And, thank you so much for honoring the invite. Some of you might know me from, Sakisiza Property Stockfell. Some of you are on the Zanzi Property Queens website, or just from other, or maybe in a Stockfell, know me from there. But just as a start, as Andrew is our guest tonight, I just want to know if some of you guys know what SEPN is. So just let us know. There's a poll that's up right now. Let us know if you're aware of SEPN is, as well as let us know whereabouts in the country you're from, so that we can just have an idea of where everybody is located, and also just give us an indication of whereabouts in your journey are you. This is just going to help us to drive the conversation a little bit better, and so that we make sure that everybody gets maximum value for attending to the session tonight. So if you do have any questions or comments that you'd like to make throughout the webinar, you can just post them in the chat line, and towards the end of the presentation, either myself or Andrew will then answer some of those questions. So by way of introduction, as I've said, my name is Lindile, and so my journey with the South African Property Investors Network is an interesting one, in that I actually came across what the SEPN network is when I was in a property Stockfell and I was looking for investment opportunities. And I didn't really know where to look and whatever else. And I think one of my friends actually tagged me with someone had actually asked a question on the Facebook group. So from then I joined the group and I started following, and I found the people like so useful. And if like there's almost that sense if there's no such a thing as a dumb question on that group. It really is such a wonderful way for people to connect and for asking questions. There's different levels of people that are in the group, all the way from like people who've never even done their first home to people who've got like multi-million rands worth of property portfolios. So the wealth of knowledge that are in that Facebook group is just absolutely amazing. So I started by just joining the group, and then I started attending some of the actual events that were happening in Joburg and Soweto and Pretoria, depending on where they were happening at the time. And then at the time, and I really enjoyed what was happening there, and I actually even ended up signing up as a actual member of SEPN because of the value that I found from just attending some of the sessions, as well as just the value add that goes with being a SEPN member. So last year they actually had like an Investor of the Year competition, and I entered that competition, and then I won the innovative category. So that is when I actually started working a lot more with Andrew, and that is why when I asked him to come on the webinar, he was very keen to come and just talk to everybody so that you know what SEPN is and what are the opportunities, as an investor, either to learn or to start actually doing deals and investing in property. So Andrew, I'm going to then hand over to you just to introduce yourself, tell us more about your background in property, where you started, where you are now, and then tell us more about the organizations that you represent, which is SEPN, as well as the Property Investors Network, the SA Property Investors Network.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Silindile, and thank you for having me on your show. It's actually great to be a guest, and I love these type of webinars where I can jump on and just share my story, and hopefully tonight, Silindile, we inspire some people, we motivate some people, and we educate some people. If it's okay, I've got a few slides. I like to use pictures and text and stuff when I'm sharing my story, so hopefully that's good with you. And I'm sure you can all see my slides, which is all good. So yeah, Silindile, look, it's an interesting one because, right now, yes, I have been investing in property for a number of years. I bought my first property back in 2001. I am the founder of the SA Property Investors Network, as well as the Property Academy, as well as Let's Stand in the UK. And I've been in the space you could probably say now for 15 years full time, you know, not just in investing in property, but also running property businesses such as, you know, letting agents, and I've been an estate agent, I've been a sourcing agent. I've kind of I've been a project manager, managing many renovations. So I've really had a lot of hands-on practical experience in the residential game. I've made a lot of money. I've lost some money. I've seen the risks. I've bought before recessions, after recessions. So I've really had some really good practical experiences, positive and negative. And the journey I'm on, Silindile, is really still investing in property myself. I'm still building my property businesses. And I think as an entrepreneur, I'm going to keep doing it till the day I die because I enjoy it. I love it. This is what I do. I go around South Africa and I help people. Yes, you know, jump on TV stations, radio stations on, you know, just really giving my opinion on the property market, as well as helping people one-to-one. I mean, one thing, you know, Silindile, I'm very passionate about, and that's helping investors, that's holding their hands, that's taking them to some of my properties. In fact, I was with a guy called Ashley today. He's flown in from East London. One of my students, I see Sazi on your group here, is from East London. And he came down to Joburg. I took him around a few properties, really showing him how we do multi-lets here in South Africa. So right now, Silindile, that's what I do full time. I work with people like yourself, and you know, we create property courses, and I'll talk about TPA and SAP in a minute. But I think what's important, Silindile, is that, you know, people ask, but Andrew, have you always been an investor? Did I go get a degree? Did I study for 4, 5, 6, 7 years? The answer is absolutely not. You know, I'm from Edenvale, Johannesburg. I'm married to Simone, got 2 kids. That's me, the one in the front there. Grew up in Edenvale with the boys, and just lived what I'd call a normal life. I went to Eden Glen High School, didn't get great marks. I didn't go to university. One thing I did do, though, is I started a business at a very young age, and that's that picture at the left. There's actually SABC Studios. Then Auckland Park, I used to build studios. I used to mark up ads. I used to be in the sound business. And Dave, my business partner, would never believe me, but I used to build computers from scratch. I used to wire up studios. I used to map them. I used to love the engineering part of becoming a sound engineer. And it was fun. I loved it. That was my background. I never knew anything about property. No one coached or mentored me in property. I was passionate about sound engineering. I guess the problem was, though, Silindile, is when I got into my early 20s, and this passion of mine, when I started working, like literally 7 days a week, I used to have 2 or 3 gigs at, you know, one night. I used to drop off the sound equipment and take the DJs, and I used to run the business. I started feeling like this guy, like just a hamster in a rat race. And it was just, I started feeling uncomfortable. I started thinking, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Literally, get up for work and go home, get home late, wake up early, go to work, get home late. And I got to a point where the only thing I can say is gutful. I was sick of it. And I was so confused because, hey, this was going to be my life career. I was going to become this big famous sound engineer. And as much as I loved it, I started losing the passion because I realized that being a sound engineer was not going to let me live the life that I wanted to live. It was not going to give me the freedom of the life I wanted to live. And so I didn't know what, but I knew there was something else out there. I knew I had to get out of my comfort zone. I knew I had to do something different. The problem is I never had any mentors at that stage. My parents were great. I loved them. But they too were never in the whole wealth creation space. So my dad was a chemical engineer. All he could tell me was to work hard and get a good job and the usual story. But I just, in the deep down inside of me, I knew there was something else. And where it all started for me, Silindile, was back in 2001. I bought this property in Durban. I was on holiday with my girlfriend, who's my wife now, Simone. And, you know, we're down there, we're busy playing a game of pool. And I see this little banner, a postcard, and it says property for sale. It's a private sale. I thought, interesting. One thing I was very good at, Silindile, growing up was Monopoly. I just used to buy everything. Cash flow always got tight, but I always used to win Monopoly, right? Because I knew which houses to buy. And so I just, I thought this is the real world. Yeah, it's an opportunity. I was working as a sound engineer. I was earning like 4,000 Rand a month. Not a lot of money at all, but it is enough to qualify for a bond. So this deal came up. It's in south coast of Durban. And the asking price was 220. And I sat down with Simone and we're like, do you know what? Let's just throw a cheeky offer in. It's exactly what we did. We went in at 160 and the guy accepted it. I was like, that's weird. You haven't tried to negotiate. What I didn't realize is he was motivated. I didn't know that. But I put this low offer in. Now, I did hold on to this property for a few years. So 2001 to like 2005. And I rented it out. I made good money in the holiday seasons being in Durban. Of course, the airport was still there in those days. I sold the property and I made a neat little profit of over 200,000 Rand. Now, if I'm earning 4,000 Rand a month, okay, back in those days, times by 12, that's called just short of 100,000 Rand. But just like that, almost 3 years worth of work as a sound engineer, working 7 days a week. I just made a similar amount of money with hardly any effort. Bought the thing, we renovated it. I had someone to manage it. In fact, I forgot about it most months. And when I sold it, I compared it to how much money I was earning working 7 days a week. To hang on a minute, I've just almost replaced 3 years worth of income. There's something not right with the plan I was following. And I realized, looking back, that one deal changed my life. It completely changed my mindset, thinking that this is how the wealthy get wealthy. They spend their time on activities that make a lot of money. Does that make sense, Silindile?
Absolutely, Andrew. It makes absolute sense to me.
Focus on the activities. And in fact, tonight, I think we call it, people got pen and paper, take some notes down and write that down. Focus on the activities that make you money. Because some activities will make you 100 Rand an hour. Some will make you 500 Rand an hour. Ask yourself the question, how much are you making per hour? And if you want to earn more money, it's simple. Go do the activities that make you more money. And it was at this stage when I'd just gone to London with my girlfriend, wife now, 2005 when we sold it. And this is now where I got the interest in property. And but now what do? I'm in a new continent. No cash flow other than the money I sold the property for, which I kept in South Africa because I used that to go buy off-plan properties. So we're sitting in there in London going, how the hell did we get involved in property? So, London's a different kettle of fish, right? I'm sure for those of you that have been to London, you compare it to Joburg, completely different. And anyways, I went out looking for answers, Silindile. I went to workshops, entrepreneurial workshops, stocks and shares, property, all different type of. I was just looking for an answer. I was like saying, God, show me the way forward. Where? And next thing I see a Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Cash Flow advert in the Tube. But he's sitting there with Simone. It says there, Lloyd's Cricket Ground in London. Free 2-hour, not webinar, workshop. It was like Tuesday night. I said to Simone, look, it's free. Let's go. So we go there. We sit at Lloyd's Cricket Ground and I watched the speaker. There's a guy from Nelspruit, and he's talking about how he's been doing property in London and in the north of England. And I said to my wife, geez, man, if this guy from bloody Nelspruit can make property work in England, so I'm from Joburg, I can smash it. So I was like, geez, I found the right thing. Next thing, Silindile, I'm at a 3-day workshop in Edgware, London. And the problem was now that I was getting a good problem being exposed to the world I was looking for, the entrepreneurial world in the property space, where when you get this right, Silindile, this is the secret. When you understand that there is more than enough money to go around, when you understand that there is something called unlimited financing, people just don't know about it. They don't know how to apply it. I started catching on to all these phrases going, this is exactly what I want. All I did, Silindile, going is, well, if I'm going to accelerate, if I'm going to make this work, I need help. I need support. So the biggest thing that I've realized in all of this is you can't do it by yourself. You need the support. I got myself a property coach. His name was Matthew, and he mentored me. He showed me the way forward. Quite simple. I didn't have to go Google anything. I didn't have to go reinvent the wheel. I said, look, Matthew, I want to build up a portfolio of cash flowing properties. And that's exactly what I did, Silindile, using other people's money, OPM. And on the back end, I thought to myself, if I'm going to build my own portfolio in one area, I may as well build a letting agency to support it. And then I can manage other people's properties. And that's exactly what I've been doing in the UK since 2006, 2007. And so a lot of my practical experience came from there. But that's exciting. I left the sound engineering world. I ventured into this new world. And don't get me wrong. When I say I was scared, I had a bit of anxiety. I always said, but what if it goes wrong? What if I can't do property? What if it doesn't pan out? And I kept saying, what if? And then my girlfriend, then my wife said, but Andrew, what if it does work? What if we give this thing a go, this property thing a go? we apply some of the strategies that the speaker and the coach have taught us. What if it does work? What if we do change our lives around? And Silindile, from the moment she said that to me, I was like, done, decision made. I'm going to give this my 100% go. I'm going to just get out there. And I said to myself, I will do whatever it takes to make this work. And that's the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people, is they don't make that decision. They go, I want to become successful, but they haven't really, it doesn't resonate inside. I said, I know I'm successful already. I'm going to make this work. And that's when I built up Let's Sand, and we built up property networking events in the UK. I attend the London ones all the time. And that, if you're probably wondering, Silindile, because people often ask me, but why did you set up the SA Property Investors Network? You know, why did you set it up? It's a good question. When I moved back in 2013, I realized very quickly that there were no other networking platforms where like-minded investors get together. So Silindile, imagine all the people watching this right now, right? It's COVID, so it's virtual. Imagine we all got into a room and we all started networking with each other and exchanging business cards and, hey, I've got a deal. I've got some bond finance. I've got some capital. And that's exactly what I did. I was networking with like-minded investors. And actually, it was quite easy because I didn't have to go anywhere else. If I wanted a deal, I went to the network. If I wanted capital, I went to the network. So quite simply, there was a massive gap in the South African market. As entrepreneurs saw it, I said, "Cool, I just ready, aim, fire." And I just set it up. And for about 7 years, obviously 6 years ago, it's very small. Even 5 years ago, so the last 3-4 years, the SA Property Investors Network has boomed across South Africa. And if someone's wondering, but what do? We help you create wealth in property. So anyone that's interested in building wealth, whether that's full-time in property, whether it's part-time in property, whether it's a retirement plan, whatever it might be, we're going to connect you to property professionals across South Africa, from the banks to Tel Africas to, it's the right people in those organizations. It's not walking into a store and speaking to, it's the right people. Connecting you to people with money, connecting you to people with deals. And the issue is also connecting you to property coaches and investors for when things do go wrong, do you have that support? And that's what the national networking platform is all about. And in fact, what we'll do a little bit later, Silindile, if there's time, there's quite a few people that are not SAPA members and they probably don't know who SAPA is. Let's maybe spend a bit of time later going through the intermediate membership, because as an investor, there's certain resources and tools that one needs to have in order to do property. And some of those tools and resources are in the intermediate membership. And then through that, Silindile, basically what happened is people were coming to us in the network and they're saying, hey, Andrew, listen, I'm really keen on learning about Airbnb, or Andrew, listen, who can teach me about multi-lets or installment sale agreements? And so we saw another massive need. People were hungry to study property, to get educated. And that's what the Property Academy is. No different to any other university. We teach people how to do property. And in fact, something which I'm very, very excited about is this. And if everyone can write this down for me, the SA Fundamental course, just write this down, because this is the most successful course in Silindile. We've had over 2,000 people go through our accelerated course. And to this day, I'm getting constant compliments about how practical it is. It's an online course. You get access for life. Dave and I jump on a webinar every single month. There's email support. There's downloadable content. And for anyone that's a newbie, I'm not quite sure on the experience of tonight. Let's have a look. So where are you in your journey? So some people are curious. You're not sure if property is for you. Some of you are just getting started. Some of you working your first deal. In any industry that you jump into, it's very important, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, it's very important that you understand the fundamentals of what you're getting into, right? What are the options when you're in the property space? What should you do and what shouldn't you do? And that's what we've done in the SA Fundamental course. Again, depending on how time goes, Silindile, I can always actually log in, jump, and I can show the people what it's about. And it's because an important thing for me, when I came back to South Africa, I found property educational companies, but they were from either England or America. And I thought, no, we've got to keep the educational practical to South Africa. And a key for me, and maybe people want to write this down, there's 3 elements to becoming a successful property investor. Is anything you want to be good at, you've got to study it. Doesn't matter what it is. You've got to read up about it. You've got to learn. You've got to watch videos. You've got to ask questions. You've got to understand the theory part of it. I'm sure you all agree with me on that, right? And once you understand the theory and the concept, from there, we then need to go meet the right people. As an investor, who's your attorney? Who's your accountant? Who's your connections in the bank? Who's your investors? Who's bringing you deals? Who's your builder? Who's your letting agent? There's a lot of people that you need to have because you're only as strong as your weakest link. So you may be a great investor, but if your team is weak, then you're going to be weak. So by getting the right education, by networking with the right investors, and Silindile, I'll be networking with you on Wednesday night.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be an awesome event, by the way. But going out, and this is the part where most people get it wrong, Silindile. They attend the workshops, they network, but if you don't go out there and take action, guess what? Nothing's going to happen. That's Sean Green, a student of mine. He literally joined the Property Academy a few weeks before COVID. But guess what? He's already bought, I think he's done 3 deals so far, of which one is a multi-let. He's making the cash flow he's making from that multi-let is paying for the negative cash flow he's got on his other properties because he's now realized there's another way of doing property. Most newbies that don't go through the first 2 steps there, most newbies go buy a property without a plan, without a strategy, with not knowing that there's something called positive cash flow. And I just believe, Silindile, that, and not believe, I've seen it, it's a fact, it's been proven. Right education, meet the right people, take the action, and you will become successful. And Silindile, that's my introduction. That's who I am, Andrew Walker. That's the 2 companies myself and Dave own. And we're in the game of helping people as well as investing ourselves. So hopefully that, sums it all up for you.
Wow, thank you so much, Andrew. I'd never heard your story before, so this is the first time that I'm hearing it. So it really is fascinating where you've come from, and having this awesome network that you've created, as well as the Property Academy. So I actually, one of my favorite features about being a Serpent member is actually where you get to pitch like your deals. I mean, before lockdown, we used to actually do it like live. If you guys go on my YouTube, you'll see like the first live pitch that I did. So you actually get an opportunity if you're looking for money, or you're looking for deals, or you even have any other property related business, you get like a slot to actually promote your business. So that's actually quite good, that those are the opportunities that are out there. So can you tell us more about what is it that you feel, I think you've covered it a bit in terms of, the taking the action and making sure that all of that is important in terms of being successful as a property investor. But what is the one thing or this key ingredient that separates the really successful people in property from the ones that just are average or that never really go anywhere?
Sure. I think there's a few things coming through my mind, so I'm just going to spit them out. The first thing I've realized in any business, and this is for any business, whether it's property or any business, is continuity. I've got some members, Silindile, that have been with me for years. These are people that come the highs and come the lows. Guess what? They rock up at the networking events. If they don't want to come to a networking event, they come to a networking event. And guess what? They go home with more business cards. So for me, being a successful property investor is people that, number A, of course, never give up. They continuously show face. They continuously ask questions. They're not scared to invest in themselves. Anyone that hesitates to invest in themselves is already making a mistake. Because what I've realized, and I am literally learning every day. I'm speaking to town planners. I'm speaking to power team members. I learn stuff from Dave all the time. You never stop learning. So where people are unsuccessful is they jump into property. They think they're going to make millions of rands within 12 months. They realize that property is quite difficult. It's not easy doing it by yourself. And they quit very quickly. So people that, and that's why I said, all investors always start with the SA Fundamental course, because through there, I take them through these 12 modules, setting expectations, letting them know what's involved. Because think about it, if property was that easy, if it is that easy to jump into property, wouldn't all South Africans be multi-millionaires?
Absolutely, we would.
Exactly. And they're not because they don't rock up. 80% of success is rocking up. So look at the people on your call tonight. They've rocked up. I know that there were some people that booked, but they never rocked up tonight. So people that rock up, and I still remember it, I was living in England, north of England, and there was a networking event that evening. And then normally this specific one was a small one, and it was raining, it was windy. Logan was a baby. And I said to Simone, oh, love, I don't feel like going. It's like, I'd rather sit and chill and watch TV. And I said, you know what, Andrew, it's only once a month. Get your ass up, get your ass off this couch and get to the networking event. Guess what? I went to the networking event. The guy put me on the spot. I stood up. I used to hate speaking, by the way. I used to hate public speaking. I was so fearful of it. I used to sit in the back. I stood up. I introduced myself as a sourcing agent and a letting agent. And guess what? I got business out of it. It was a big success. And it was through those experiences that I always say to people, 80% of your success is showing up. Never be scared to invest in yourself. I put 13,000 pounds on the line in 2005 when we had zero. Simone took a credit card out and a loan out. That was our biggest fear thing we've ever done in our lives. But the lesson I've learned from that is I wouldn't be talking to you tonight if I never took that risk. So, and another thing in life is sometimes you've got to take what's called the leap of faith. Yes. If you know it's the right thing, you've just got to do it. Because if you don't, and you hesitate tonight, you hesitate tomorrow, you'll be 65 years old, and guess what? Then it's too late.
That's very true, Andrew. Very, very true. Because I remember as well when I first heard about the Investor of the Year competition, right? I thought to myself, this is for like experienced investors. I'm never going to stand a chance. And, you know, so I think I entered like, I think a day or two before the competition actually closed, because I didn't think that, you know, I would actually even make it for the first round. And so I made it for the first round. I didn't even want to go because I was like, I'm probably going to be like, it's just like space fillers or something like that. I never even like thought that I would actually qualify. So you're so right. You know, like your success is just about 80% is just signing up. It's about the people that are on the call today that said that, you know, I want to be here, I'm going to register, and I'm actually going to attend. And already they're successful from the nuggets that we're going to be sharing tonight. You know, so already they are going to be far from the peers who either didn't register or who actually registered and didn't pitch. You know. So what are your thoughts given the current economic climate? I mean, we're seeing the rental market is taking a hammering. We're seeing vacancies. Is it really the right time to get started or to even invest in property?
Yeah, it's a very common question, because I remember in 2005, 2006, just before that recession hit, you know, we had the same concerns during that recession and after that recession. I don't think that recession really ever ended. And, you know, looking before COVID, so looking back to the beginning of the year, and again, reflecting on COVID and slowly, hopefully coming out, of course, there'll be spikes now in December, but coming out of COVID, I think the question is, when is the best time to invest in property? And the answer to that is there's no such the best time, because what I've realized, and one thing that the group CEO of Chaz Everett, the group CEO, the big chief, the guy at the top. I asked him that question, Lindile, the exact one you asked me. Let me give you his answer. His answer was, never try time the market, right? You never know what's around the corner. What you do know is your local market. So here in Edenvale. So I know that the stats are that in South Africa, Edenvale, from a rental collection point of view, has a higher collection rate than the national average. If I look at where we're situated, even with COVID, even with tenants, there's a high demand here in Edenvale for units. Now, it's a big concern, Silindile. And, you know, another group CEO was telling me about, yes, these good tenants. The reason is, one of the reasons why there's some vacancies is the good tenants are now buying properties because it's, in some cases, cheaper to own than to rent. And so some of these good tenants are now stepping onto the property ladder. So this is where it comes to, and I'll talk about this on the fundamental course. And Dave's got a lot of knowledge in this as well, in terms of researching your market. Because there's certain areas in South Africa that people don't even know this, that there's very high vacancy rates. The collections are awful, the area's going down. But they just go see an agent and they somehow buy the property because it looks good. They don't look at any other factors. So some of the tools, again, at the SA Property Investors Network, your TPN reports, your Lightstone reports. This is where the tools come in to help you research the area. And this is where, in my opinion, multi-lets come in. So Silindile, let's say I take a property. In fact, Ashley says there's a guy or a lady here called Sazi. I must connect you to Ashley. Ashley's a property investor. He's a doctor from East London. He's out for a few days. I took Ashley. I said, look, this is a great thing. This is a house. We can create two bedroom properties, two beds and a 1 bed, and we're going to build another 2 bed. That's 4 units. The reason that's important, Silindile, is let's say the first unit, the tenant does leave. Okay, I've now got a vacancy. First of all, filling it, because I know the demand, even today, there's a good demand for that type of rental between the, because we right in between the airport and Sandton. It's a perfect location. Or let's say that there's some arrears. The great thing is I've got 4 units on one earth. And I'm not talking about a commune, like a shared facilities. These are actual units. Another reason why this is important is a lot of people, Silindile, that had these fancy greenstone houses for 2 million, 3 million, and they've lost their jobs. Guess what? They're having to downsize. They don't want to go get these massive big properties with garden maintenance and pools. And so now I'm playing in the space between 4,000 Rand and 8,000 Rand. That's the level I'm playing at. Mm-hmm. And one thing my property, and I'll never forget this, in England, he said to me, always buy or always invest in a property. In fact, write this down. Always invest in a property that the average Englishman can afford. Now, that was in England. In South Africa, and that for me was below £100,000. So I come to South Africa going, well, how do I adapt that same philosophy? Invest in a property that the average South African can afford to buy and rent. Because remember, you've always got to have 2 extra strategies. Please write that down as well. So if you think about buying a property for 8 million, right? Let's say you got a great job, you go buy this mansion somewhere for 8 million, and for whatever reason, you have to sell it. How big is the pool of investors? How many people could you sell that to? It's very small. I'll just use my area here. But we keep our properties now below 1.5 million. Around the million Rand is a sweet spot. The pool of first-time buyers, second-time buyers, and investors is massive. So now when I get into the property market, I know that if I need to sell, I've got first-time buyers knocking on my door. I've got amateur investors, professional investors, and I know that I can get out the property. So despite where we are with the economy and COVID, if we understand our local areas to this amount of detail, the chances are you'll be fine. But if you're an amateur and you don't get the right education, if you don't do the SA fundamental course, you're at risk, because now you're sort of jumping into something and you don't quite know how do you know if there's a demand? So what happens is you say, hey, Mr. Agent, is there demand? Of course they're going to say there's demand. Or Mr. Letting Agent, could you rent this? Of course I can rent this, because all they're looking for is to make the sale, right?
The commission, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So hopefully that answers your question there, eh?
No, it does. It does. So I'm so glad that, you're giving us the positive in terms of there's always opportunities if, you've got the right tools and you know what you're doing. Because like you're saying, some of us just think that any property is a good property, and we don't understand that, you need to buy the right property in the right area, so all of that is important. And so having some sort of property education and having the right tools is absolutely critical to make sure that you're buying right, So let's talk more about what are the trends that you see in the upcoming year? What are investors doing? What is happening in investment circles that maybe some of the people on the call tonight are not necessarily privy to, that you can share with us tonight?
Yeah, sure. In fact, I do have some slides on that as well. So I'm going to chat about those slides as well. But I think what I want to mention there is, in your chat box there's someone called, let me just end that show. There was someone in your chat box there about Cosmo City. Who was that? I'm just going to get my chat box. Someone is saying Cosmo City. Who's that? Nonto. Nonto, let us know. Are you a member of the SA Property Investors Network by any chance? Because Silindile, I've just had a call. Well, I say just. Today is Monday. It was last week, with a lady who's done a fantastic multi-let. One of our new students, we've just done a blueprint for her, and she's now looking for more multi-let. So is it a good area for multi-let? Damn yes. But you just got to find the right property. So Nonto, what we need to do is connect you. I'm just trying to think of a name. It was either Recibe or another name. But this is a prime example, Silindile. Wherever I am, events, webinars, Cosmo said, you know what, I'm not going to tell you if it's a good or bad area. I've invested, but I'll tell you what, I know of someone that has invested in that specific area. So Silindile, if you get her details or get Nonto's details, I will make that connection. Okay.
Okay.
Brilliant. So let me talk about what I believe are going to be 4 very important strategies in property. And one of them is how to acquire properties. So I think what will be interesting now is I'm also just going to get a poll up here. I'm just going to poll up for all of you. Okay. So for all of you listening, if you could please share with me, what strategy are you working on at the moment? If you're a newbie, is it Airbnb? Do you want to get into installment sale agreements? You know, it's another way of acquiring properties. Do any of you want to flip properties and make some great cash flow or great capital? I mean, because we are getting into the space where, unfortunately, there's going to be more and more repossessions. What about sourcing? Going out there and sourcing properties and working with the brokerage to earn a commission. Let's see. So we got 33% installment sale agreements, flipping, multi-lets. And in fact, in the chat box, if you could let me know, yes, Andrew, I have done installment sale agreements, or I've already done a flip, or I've already done multi-lets. Let me know what you've actually done. I think it's very important that we understand where you are. And so far, Silindile, no one is liking Airbnb. No one is liking Airbnb. Everyone's liking installment sale agreements, flipping, multi-lets, and sourcing. So here's the thing with Airbnb, right? A lot of people don't make money in Airbnb. And these are people, again, it comes down to they think they can make a quick buck. They just log on to Airbnb and they put their property on, but they don't understand the tricks of the trade. They don't understand how to automate the process. They don't understand how to look for opportunity. Is there demand? You know, go to AirDNA, write that down, airdna.co. airdna.co. I believe that's the website, Dave. Yes. AirDNA. And that's a website. You need to know where to go. But this is what Robin Booth likes to teach is before you do anything, understand where the demand is. And with Airbnb, even in COVID, now this is the thing, a lot of hosts went from short-term to long-term. The professional investors like Robin Booth held out. Yes, he took a bit of a hit through COVID, and look what's happening now. We're coming out of COVID, and now his competition is less. Do you know how many hundreds or even thousands of hosts went from Airbnb to buy-to-let? And they're probably losing money right now. So the competition's less in the space. And once you've been trained to really learn how to automate the process, how do I go live in the property I've always wanted to live in, the area I've always wanted to live in, but I can't afford it? How do I negotiate a rent-to-rent? In fact, write that down for me, everyone. How do I do a rent-to-rent on a property, live in the property, and rent some rooms out? You know, the great thing with Airbnb is we don't have to own the property. We may just apply the rent-to-rent. So even if it doesn't work out, we can walk away. We can give the property back. And once you've tested demand, once you are making a lot of money out of it, like not just Robin Booth, there are loads of people in the Sapper network right now that are moving to the coastal towns, that are moving to better areas, and all they're doing is adapting the Airbnb strategy. So I can't talk for South Africa. What I can talk for is the SA Property Investors Network, and the amount of success we're having is out of this world. So that's Airbnb, definitely something just to look at. The other one is installment sale agreements. So don't get me wrong, this isn't a strategy that you apply. This is a way of acquiring a property. Because when you think about it, there's 4 ways to take control of a property. Go buy it for cash. You then become the owner. Go get a bond on the property. You're now the owner with a bond. Go do a rent-to-rent. So this is where you rent the property and you sublet it. Of course, you've got to get permission. You've got to tick some boxes. But my words are you control the assets. Or one of my most favorite ones, Silindile, and I'm doing one right now. I've got an installment sale agreement. I've got a shared situation going on, making some cash flow, and I'm going to rezone that property and build some flats. Installment sale agreements. As an investor, one of the challenges is often finance, right? For beginners, how do I get finance? Well, I can't get a bond. I don't have a bond. How do I get into property? Bang, here we go. Installment sale agreements. It's a way of legally taking over someone's bond. So in my situation, Silindile, a local family to me. They were renting a property out. They're not investors. They're not educated. The tenants moved out in December last year. They were quite chilled about it, but then COVID came. He had this property for 6 months sitting empty, paying a monthly bond, paying his rates and taxes. The problem is the amount he owed on the bond was actually, in my opinion, slightly more than the market value. And it needed a bit of work. So the problem is if I'm going to buy it and sell it, or if I'm going to buy it with the bond and try to buy below market value, geez, man, I'm at like, 800, 900, if I'm lucky, $1 million. The problem is he owes 1.3 million. So I sat there going, and this is one of the most important things when negotiating. Really find out what is the seller's problem. I very quickly found out there's no equity anyway, because some people sell a property, they want to get equity out. Great, I can solve that problem. I'll give you money up front. I'll give you the equity up front. This case, there's no equity. So all I said to him was, look, Johan, if I can, I just use these words, if I can take over the headache in terms of the paying, because you've just told me now that you're currently paying a monthly bond and rates and taxes, and that's quite a financial strain, isn't it? Yes, so he agrees with me because it is. What if I paid that for you every single month? So Johan, what if I just set up a direct debit for your monthly bond payments and I'll pay your rates and taxes? And he looked at me with a scared face going, huh? Wow, how would that work? So I said, look, have you heard of installment sale agreements? And of course he said, no, most people haven't. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Let me first quickly explain what it is, but I want you to Google it. Go jump onto Google. You and your wife must research it yourself. I said effectively what it is it was brought out in 1981. It's called the Alienation Land Act. And what it does is it helps first-time buyers or investors acquire properties over a period of time, the same as you would do with a car. So he started going, okay, yeah, so like a car lease, like a house lease. Okay, I said something similar. There's some legal things we have to agree on. But I said, look, don't rush it. Go home, Google it. And then I had a broker there with me, and we kind of had a little bit of a conversation because, well, look, if I'm protected, you're protected, and you can cover my bond from next month. So unlike buying a property the traditional way, this can be done in a week or 2 weeks. I don't need to pay transfer duty straight away. I pay it in 6 months. I don't pay any bond attorney fees. I don't pay transfer attorney fees. I pay an attorney just to do the endorsement, to register the contract and the title deeds at the deeds office. Now, he can't go sell the property, remortgage without my consent because my claim, call it my contract, and my name, my company gets registered at the deeds office alongside his. So I'm protected. And look, there are some legalities. What if I default? What if he defaults? It's like any contract. We put in all those terms in the contract. Here's the great thing, Silindile. I'm going to ask you a question now. And for the rest of the audience, if I don't have to apply for a bond right now, okay? Yes, I've got to buy the property in 5 years or 8 years. But the whole idea with this deal is that I put it through my company, I show a good profit. The company will then be able to take out the mortgage.
To qualify for the bond, yeah.
But I'm going to ask you in the audience, how many deals am I allowed to do? Or how many deals can I do if bond affordability is not an issue right now? So I could go to sellers and I could agree these deals. And yes, I've got to pay between 4,000 to 7,000 Rand. I've got to pay an attorney some money. But how many of these deals could I go do?
Infinity. The only limitation is how many deals can you find, and with the right knowledge and the right tools, and if you are serious and you buckle down and do it, there is literally no limits to how many properties you can buy.
Absolutely. And that's why I love it. And we had the boot camp this last weekend, right? And some people were confused talking about, but what do I go for? Installment sale agreements, or do I go for Airbnb? My view is the 4 ways to acquire property, installment sale agreements is one of them. Now, imagine you sat in front of a seller. So let's say someone on the call, Jesse, let's say you were sat there, Jesse, talking to a seller, and you come across a situation where you go, damn, but a bond's not going to work. And for whatever reason, it could be the house is so run down, the electrics are shot, it's been vacant for years and years. There's no way you'll get a bond on the property. So you sat there going, damn, I can't get a bond. I don't have the cash to buy it. What can I do? If you don't understand installment sale agreements, you'll be like, okay, well, I don't think I can help you. Most people walk away. But now you can sit there going, you've got the confidence, the know-how of how to put an ISA together. And the other thing I've realized, Silindile, is confidence. when you don't understand something and you're talking to somebody about something you don't understand, that comes across very easily. So people see through going, this person's trying to explain something to me that I don't really understand. I don't think I want to do business with that person. Does anyone relate to that? Or can anyone go, yes, Andrew, I know what you're talking about? I feel very uncomfortable talking to someone that I'm not quite sure if they know more than me. And that's what I've learned. If I don't understand it, I don't teach it. So with installment sale agreements, you sat there, you're explaining it. You go, I'll tell you what, why don't we do an installment sale agreement? I'll take away the pain within the first month. Within the first month, we'll do the paperwork. We can sit down, you, myself, and the attorney. Let's agree on win-wins. You know, what's going to work for you? What's going to work for me? We'll do so, and I'll tell you what, I'll pay for the paperwork. It's not an offer to purchase. It's a contract, like any other contract. How does that sound to you, Mr. Seller? Oh, absolutely, because now you're building like respect and trust. And that's the great thing about this is really getting the knowledge of how to acquire the property. So even though that's not a specific strategy, Silindile, the great thing is, you know, by getting into installment sale agreements, you can do buy-to-lets, you can do multi-lets. You can even do flipping if you want to, providing it's more than 12 months. This is my favorite strategy over Airbnb, over flipping, over buy-to-lets, because we all want to get financial freedom. We all want to get cash flow. And the quickest route to it, in my opinion, is multi-lets. You know, where you're making 7,000 Rand net cash flow after all expenses, where you're making 25. I mean, the one in the West Rand of Joburg, as soon as phase 2 is completed, as one of my executive students, he's going to be making 25,000 Rand net cash flow. That's based on a 9% interest rate, taking all expenses, all the remortgage of the bond. Now, to put it politely, how many of those type of deals does one really need just to make a difference in the life? If you could make of one deal, 25,000 Rand of one deal, would that make a difference to anyone in this call? In the chat box, say yes, will make a difference, or just say no, it wouldn't. And if you don't answer, maybe you're confused, because I think 25,000 Rand to anyone would be amazing. The average salary, Silindile, is what, 14,000 Rand in South Africa. Now, for you to earn 25,000 Rand interest in the bank, you've got to have, I don't know, 5 million or 8 million in the bank to earn that amount of interest.
Absolutely.
I don't think I don't have 8 million Rand set in my check account earning me that, but by being creative, by buying below market value, by seeing opportunity. That's what I did with my student, Ashley, from East London. He's like, oh my gosh, I've never looked at property this way. I said, exactly. I picked up the plans. We opened the plans on my dining room table about 2 hours ago. I said, have a look at this. I got a pencil. And I said, so over here, we're going to move that bathroom. We'll get 7,000 Rand there. Bearing in mind, you get 10,000 Rand as a family let on this property. I showed him the same property, how we could make 30,000 Rand. And I went through the building plan saying, so this is how we're going to create a 2-bed over there, a 2-bed over there, 1-bed. We need to build another 2-bed. But once we've done that, actually, we've got 30,000 Rand cash flow. Yes, there's going to be expenses. So the net cash flow, I think, is about 12 grand, about 12,000 Rand after expenses. But that's what we do. And if students, but the problem is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Silindile, especially virtually, you know, I can talk about these things. But it's a lot better to learn when you're in the field, right? When you're actually going to a property with someone like Dave or yourself or myself, because, you know, hearing and seeing something in a classroom style versus actually pulling plans out in Andrew Walker's dining room and talking through it is a lot different. And that's my aim. And my aim is to get investors to that level. Not saying everyone's going to come to my house. If it's a bride, you're more than welcome. It's a dop and chop, bring some beers. And then something that I've done for years, I've always just done flips, not because I really intended to, but because they come up by default. And the great thing about South Africa over England is that we aren't allowed to do back-to-back deals in England anymore, but we can do them in South Africa. I mean, Silindile, I remember the one deal I did, I was in and out within 4 months. So I secured the price at, say, 600,000. I did no work to the property. I put it back on for like, was it 795, something like that? And I netted about 150 grand profit. But I never got a bond. I had to raise like 20 or 25,000 Rand to do the deal for attorney fees at that stage. Yes, I had to pay my tax on it, but still 150 grand, putting 25 grand down. But you know, you said it before, Silindile, It comes down to finding these deals. That's the secret, okay?
Definitely.
It's how to find these deals. A lot of the deals I've done have been private. They've been through the network, but there's going to be a big opportunity for flipping. In fact, we're doing one now. Does anyone know Glen Moran, Kempton Park? So we're busy doing the guarantees are in place. The money's, we actually raised the money in the network. Everything's there. All we're going to do, I'll probably, because of timing now, Christmas, I said to the guys, guys, don't even worry now. We're going into Christmas. 1st of January, let's market the property and let's get it sold. Actually, we can't do a back-to-back. It's a voluntary liquidation. In fact, they state it in the contract because of us investors. But that's fine. We'll take transfer. We can still advertise for the buyer. We can still show people around, but we have to take transfer and registration. And then we'll do the second transfer. And I know for a fact, because we partner with banks like Absa Bank, and we've got those type of contacts. And it's an unfortunate thing, but someone's got to help these sellers. There's going to be more and more people getting repossessed. There's going to be more and more people that need to sell below market value. There's going to be more and more people that can't afford to keep their properties up to standard. It's just the reality of where, and not just South Africa, it's all across the world. So as investors, and you know what I've realized, Silindile, is that if we don't help them, the only answer is getting a judgment against their name. They go through auction, which isn't great. As soon as you get a judgment on your name and you go into the Green Gazette, you now have just loads of phone calls, people knocking on doors, flyers going through letter boxes, and that's not a nice space to be in. And if the property doesn't sell, it gets repossessed by the banks. The banks then buy it, and it's so stressful for these homeowners to go through it. And that's why one thing Dave does very well through the deal finding work group, and something which I go through as well in the SA fundamental course, is how do we reach these sellers? What are some of the marketing channels to get hold of them? And once we get hold of them, we say, okay, what are we doing here? An ISA, are we doing a multi-let? In some cases, it'll be flipping. And the one thing I've also learned as a property investor is you need capital. You need money for transfer fees. You need money for renovations. And it's a great strategy to go, do you know what? I have no capital, so I've got to build capital. You see, a multi-let's not going to give you capital. It's going to give you cash flow. So how can I buy and sell a property? Even if you only make 70,000 Rand or 80,000 Rand, that's 70 or 80,000 Rand that you never had. That then can actually take you and that can pay for your attorney fees. That pays for 10 installment sale agreements. So whenever I'm coaching people, I always say, let's focus on one strategy, maximum two. So if it's a cash flow strategy like multi-let, I'll say, let's also learn about flipping, because if the opportunity comes along, and even if you do 2 a year, keep it simple. You do 2 flips, you make 300 grand profit. That 300 grand profit can fund your property business. Now that pays for your attorney fees, that pays for your marketing, that pays for a deposit, that pays for transfer duty, whatever it might be. And that is why people need to consider flipping if they haven't. Some people have that attitude of, never sell a property. But the people that always say that, if anyone says never sell a property, I want you to ask them about their financial position. Their financial position is probably very, very strong. They've got cash in the back. They've already got equity. They don't need to create capital because they've already got it through their businesses. Capital is not an issue for them. So what I've realized is, and that's where I started, from a point of no capital. That's why I've always considered it, because you run out of capital. So if you don't have the capital, as an entrepreneur, I have to think, well, what can I do to make capital? And flipping was one of those. I just want to introduce you to someone here. So with multi-lets, just because I had it as the next slide, that's Tia. Tia's one of my, I was with her today. Tia's one of my tenants. She's from room 5. So this is the installment sale agreement that I was talking about. So I've done the deal. It's all signed up. I actually bought them a Christmas tree because there's some kiddies in the house, and Dave knows my heart. I've got a soft heart. So I said, listen, I'll give you some money. Let's get a Christmas tree just for the kids and make it. And you know what? Touch wood, that house runs like a house on fire. Every time there's been an issue, every time there's been anything, I've been there. I've sought, well, I said myself, my letting agent, and we've reduced Tia's rent, and she's like an in-house manager for us. And this specific call, it's a commune, right? And that document there is I'm getting consent for the commune. So again, I'm just bringing this up because as we go through the fundamental course, we start to teach you what are the legalities of doing these deals. You don't just somehow go do it. You know, you've got to get consent to do a commune. If you're going to build flats, we have to get the property rezoned. So this is the kind of stuff that I do cover with people on that SA fundamental course. What are some of the pros and the cons, the do's and don'ts? I mean, that list over there for a lot of people is quite daunting. You know, if you want to do this type of property, that's everything that we've got to think about. And it's very easy to just forget about something. It's very easy to go, oh, damn, I didn't think about that. And that one small mistake costs you 100 grand, or that one small mistake costs you 50 grand. And that's why I always say to all investors, never be scared to invest in yourself, because there's so much that goes on in property, and it's the small mistakes that cost you money. Sorry, I get very passionate, Silindile, as you can see.
That's good. Well, thank you, Andrew. This was really, really, really insightful. Sorry, do you still have more slides?
No, I just like looking at those numbers, that's all. I like the look of money.
So those are your deals that were on that slide?
Yeah, so that's a local one. And, you know, and I know I've been a property coach for a number of years. And I know that from experience, taking my students to my properties makes a huge difference, because seeing is believing. I tell them what, you know, how to do the petitions and what I'm going to be building, and I can see it really helps them. So for people in the Joburg area, for some of the intermediate members, when I'm there on a Saturday, what are the cases? Say, listen, guys, well, I'm going there. Would you like to come along? And I think that's what helps a lot of people, is actually taking them to not just my properties, but Mark van Jaarsveld's properties as well, because that's when they really get their hand to be held. But I always say to people, before we even get there, start with the theory. Once you get through the SA fundamental course, which we'll talk about at some point tonight, once you've passed and you've passed all the assessments, now you're competent in the theory aspect of property, because we talk about everything: auctions, student accommodation, buy-to-let, how to raise capital, how to borrow money from investors, how to run the numbers. There's 12 modules of fundamentals. And when you get to the end, and then you take it seriously, and maybe that's when you get a property coach. I'm not sure, whatever your journey says, whatever's next in your journey. That's what I said. You know what? Now we take action. Now we get out there, we start viewing properties, and we put offers out.
Okay, wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. So Andrew, what can people do to prepare themselves, you know, for these opportunities that we've covered tonight?
To prepare themselves?
Yeah. What do they need to do?
Yeah, look, it's very simple. This is very simple. If you want to get into multi-let, or perhaps you're trying a multi-let, you need to be speaking to as many people as you can that are in multi-lets, or flipping, or one of the other strategies. Don't try to do it yourself. Get equipped with the right knowledge first. I can't say it enough. Understand what the process, if I buy the property, what can go wrong? If it goes wrong, how do I get out of it? If I'm going to rent out, what are all the risks? There's a lot of risks when renting out a property. Is understand what you're getting yourself into. And that is why I say that there's some people on this call that I do recognize. So it's good to see you on the call. And they will note as well, doesn't matter what platform I talk on. If you are new to property, or you own, call it between 1 to 5 properties, right? If you're in that bracket of you've dabbled and dabbled, you have to start with the SA fundamental course. It's simple, because on that online, which is Access for Life, on that course, I'm going to show you, when it comes to student accommodation, what to look out for. I'm going to show you how to run the numbers: gross yield, return on investment, cash flow. You know, when you're analyzing a deal, how do you know if it's a good or bad deal? I'm going to show you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to test you. We then have assessments after each module going, hey, did you really understand this? Because if they didn't, then Dave or myself are going to give them support and say, this is where you went wrong. This is what you did wrong. And this is how we got to fix it. So that to me is it's almost a non-negotiable if you're in property, because if you don't, and the reason I say that is, and I know I'm being quite harsh here, but I've been around long enough to have seen so many people lose money in property, and the only reason for it, Silindile, is that they were not bothered investing in themselves. They couldn't care to go watch a few videos. They just went on agent, bought a property, expected to make money, and then lost money. But yet the people that are doing, Sean Green, a CEO, right? His first few properties were all negative. And he just said, Andrew, I will do whatever you say. Now, these are CEO of a big company. One thing he understands is don't try to do it yourself. And all I did through COVID, literally, was one step at a time. Before he bought his first multi-let, we went to go see multi-lets. I showed him the path. Step by, he now understands what to look out for, how to run the numbers. I've connected him to other property coaches in the Joburg region. He now has the confidence and the know-how. If I never see Sean Green again, he can go buy his second, his third, his fourth multi-let. But I'm sure you've met people, Silindile, that have tried multi-let and have actually lost money.
I've seen people that have lost money even in a normal buy-to-let, so
yes,
never mind a multi-let. So that's definitely possible, Andrew. So, Andrew, do we have any specials or offers that you can provide the people on the call today if they are actually interested in undertaking the fundamentals course?
It is Christmas after all. So we do have two, Silindile, which I'm going to share with you. So what I'd like to do is, as you know already, everyone, and you should know by now, at the SA Property Investors Network, we do have the different levels of membership, and some of you are already members. And at the Property Academy, we have various different, courses. And I thought, what is it that a lot of you will need? And so I thought, with the Property Academy, it's definitely going to be the fundamental course. So I'm going to share some slides. Let me quickly talk everyone through it, and then I'm going to ask Dave straight afterwards, if Dave doesn't mind actually doing a live demo for us and showing us what it looks like. So can you see my screen? Have I shared my screen yet? I have, eh?
Not yet.
Can you see it now? If you haven't, it's probably just because I haven't shared it, but no problem. I'm going to just go back to Zoom over here, share screen, desktop 2, fundamentals. Cool. So you'll see it in a second. So like I said, what this is, yeah, cool. And it's going to come up on the full screen. So there we go. So this is it's 12 modules. So if everyone can just write a few things down. 12 modules. It is lifetime for access. So when you join, that doctor who came to my house and goes, geez, Andrew, I'm a bit behind because a doctor in COVID times is quite hectic. So, but actually it's cool. It's lifetime access. So he's going to watch the videos over December. And we cover, there's each section from goal setting, from mindset, through to running numbers, through to creative finance, through to buying at auctions, through to student accommodation. You will be competent in understanding the fundamentals of investing in property when you get to the end. I've already said it's lifetime for access. Now, on the website, people do go. They do buy. The course is 4,997. That's a picture of Ralph. It's quite a cool picture. So he completed the course, got his certificate. I even printed it off for him. I took it to him. And he's now become a full-time property sourcing agent. So through it, he's understood that, and he's a very intelligent guy, but he's brand new to property. So we've showed him how he can make property. And of the first deal he's doing, he's making about 25,000 Rand just by finding the opportunity. The special for everyone tonight, Silindile, and David is going to put a link in the chat box for you. For people that commit on your webinar tonight, it's 3,497. So that's what the cost is. It's basically about 25% off. It's 3,497. That's the Christmas present for December, because it is December. And it's a very simple process. All you do is you click on the link in the chat box. It'll take you to a pay fast page. You pay for it, and guess what? You can get started pretty much straight away. Just give us a bit of admin time. Dave's going to give you your username and password. Give Dave a day or two just to do that for you, and you can get cracking. The great thing is you have the whole of December and the new year to start going through it. And by the time you go through this, you'll then understand, yes, I want to get into multi-let or buy-to-let or Airbnb. Okay, so that is a special for tonight, Silindile. Silindile, look, I've never asked this before. Do you see value in 3,497?
There's massive value. Considering that the course normally retails for 4,997 Rand, this is absolutely massive value. And I've done the fundamentals course. The content there is absolutely amazing. You will make this money and more based on the knowledge that you get from the fundamentals course, based on how to structure your property, making sure you've got the right mindset, right, finding the deals. Because the best way is to find like sellers. I think someone was asking, how do we find installment sale agreement, people who want to do those kinds of deals. The thing is, finding the deals is important, whether then you do an installment sale or you do a normal bond, but it's about finding the deal. That's the most important thing. So the value that you will get for this amount, really, it really is an awesome deal. And thank you, Dave and Andrew, for organizing this for everyone tonight. Andrew, you're on mute.
So let me just unmute. I think what would be useful is for maybe Dave, if you, I'm putting Dave on the spot again, maybe if Dave can share his screen and maybe log in for us, just for people that don't quite know what the system looks like. Let me just click stop share on my side. Dave, are you cool to do that? Maybe take us through the course?
Yeah, just give me a few seconds to just log in and get into the website. And zoom in a little bit, guys. Cool, you guys can see my screen, is that right?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Cool, guys. So for those of you, just hi, my name's Dave. I'm one of the co-founders of the Property Academy, and I obviously work with Andrew every day. It's good fun. He's an energetic guy with a lot of goals that I'm happy to help bring true for you guys. So cool. I wanted to show you through this. This is what the website looks like. Obviously, when you move forward, we'll send you the links and everything. And I just wanted to show you around what's the library and how that works. So when you get access, you'll log into your library and you'll see over here there's a few things we give you access to. There's the fundamentals course. So I'll show you that in a second. There's a community. I'll show you that. But I first want to show you the extra content. So like Andrew said, we give you lifetime access. This also includes a monthly support webinar that Andrew and I do. So you'll see every support webinar since May last year is there, recorded, ready for you guys. So there's a ton of content and value just in that. So there's the monthly support webinar. You'll always have access. You'll always be invited to that. And then we do top up videos as well over here. So you'll see we got some extra webinars we did just on rent to rent and OTPs. There's also me going in depth and giving some guys some help with the numbers, and I record those sessions and share them over here in this section. The community is the next section I want to show you guys. It's just a space where you guys can interact with us and also interact with each other. So you'll see over here, if you come to meet other investors, every time someone starts the course, we say, come over here, introduce yourselves, and you'll see guys interacting with each other, and they'll start to reach out and comment and talk to each other. So that's really what the back end's there for. We're there to give you guys support so that you can ask questions in the community, but you can also ask questions in each of the lessons, which means we can help you and bring you forward. And if this is something that's really in depth from a question perspective, Andrew and I will tackle that on the support webinars. So here's the course. This is what it looks like. I'll quickly run you through the high level content, what there is, and then I'll show you one or two of the lessons. So naturally, we start getting you introduced, getting you started. Andrew spoke to you about the certificate already, so that's explained over here. The first module we get into is the fundamental concepts, just making sure you guys understand the basics. We then talk about goal setting. It's very important that you guys know what your goals are before you move forward, so you know what you're looking for. Then we talk about theory around the cash strategies and cash flow strategies. One of the most commonly asked questions we get is, where do I invest? There's an entire module on area research. One of the other questions I've seen in chat tonight is, how do I find these deals? So I talk you through a bunch of those different options of how we find deals. Of course, running the numbers, my favorite part. We talk about how to run those numbers, the details, all the research that you need to do. Another common question we get in these webinars is structured tax. Do I buy in a company? Do I buy in a trust? So we quickly covered that over here. Again, the most recent information we're always adding in here to make sure you guys get the latest info. So this is Bruno. I think we recorded this in August. Drew, you'll let me know if I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, it was in COVID.
Yeah. So structuring partnerships. Obviously, the goal here is to talk about how do we get partners involved, and that's all part of the funding module. So how do you get the sellers involved? How do you list seller finance, like installment sale agreements? And then the last few modules really go into some more theory, how the buying process works, what to expect when you're in that process of buying your first property. We talk about who do you need in your team and what tools and resources do you need. And then we obviously wrap it up and start getting you guys involved. And then there's the final assessments where we dig into that. So I just want to quickly show you one or two of the example videos. So this is an interview that we did. I think this was with, so Andrew and Bruno sat down at a boardroom table, had a conversation around how partnerships work. We then obviously break down all the details over here. And I think Sindile, you actually get a shout out in this one for the Stokvels. And then to all the content is sort of video and text, and then where possible we give you downloads and templates. So you see this is a video on the OTP with Bruno again. So we've got the the template of an OTP for you guys. So that's really what we tried to do. We tried to get a bit of Andrew just talking to you guys, giving you lessons, but also getting the experts involved to teach you some of those core concepts. So that's my usual spiel. I think I've covered everything. Andrew, is anything else you wanted me to show?
Yeah, if you don't mind just jumping onto our SAPN webpage and just going to memberships and let's just talk about intermediate for a second. I just want to show people what some of the benefits are of the intermediate membership and why it's important. So, and first of all, thanks for showing us that, Dave. That's how practical it is, right? The support is there, the content's there, the experts are there. Not just myself, I bring the experts in as well for the experts in their own field. So when it comes to the SA Property Investors Network and the intermediate, this is the most popular. This replaced our older membership called the Premier membership. And when you do become a member of the SA Property Investors Network, I mean, I think Silindile, are you an intermediate?
I'm a professional member.
You're a professional member. Okay, brilliant. That's one step above the intermediate. The intermediate membership, one of the things I really like about it are your unlimited Lightstone reports. So you'll see there, inclusive Lightstone reports. Just to share with some of you, if you wanted to go direct to Lightstone and get this and get the monthly retainer with Lightstone, look, don't come in, but I think it's like 500 Rand a month just to get the reports. You're getting it for free within your membership. You're getting 240 free TPN reports. So this is a report that's going to help you identify the rental data of a property. So getting your free TPN reports for rental data, your Lightstone report, discounts on public events, like Silindile was saying before, pitching. And the great thing was going back to live events. So Silindile, I'll see you Wednesday night. This is where you get to stand up and pitch your property-related business. I mean, Dave, maybe talk to us about the Q&A sessions and some of the other benefits.
Sure. So definitely one of the things that I've been enjoying doing is the Q&A sessions. So similar to the support webinars that we do for the fundamentals course, we also invite our members to join us once a month during our lunchtime on a Wednesday. And we sit down for about an hour and a half or so, and we talk about what questions do you have. We answer those questions. We talk about some of the market trends, what's happening in the market, just to make sure everyone's up to speed. It's really our way of helping everyone just stay on pace with doing it and making sure there's no obstacles. The last thing you want to do when you're trying something new is get stuck on something. You get stuck on a problem that you just can't solve, and that's what the Q&A sessions are about. They're just giving the opportunity to do that, to get that obstacle taken away. So one of the other things that you get is discounts to our mastermind group. So our professional members get free access to our mastermind group, and really what that is, it's led by one of our coaches, Michael Bowen, at the moment. And we sit down every month and say, what are your goals for the next 30 days and what's going to hold you back and stop you? And we hold you accountable to those goals. So every couple of weeks, you get an email from our team saying, how are you doing with those goals? What are you doing? Where are you stuck? But it also means that we can then talk about what problems you guys are expecting to have. On the last one, Michael and I spoke a lot about time management, because a lot of people, as you know, have issues with managing their time. A few of the other things that just at the bottom of here I'll quickly cover is free access to our accelerator course. So much like the fundamentals, it's just a very abridged version. So for those of you guys who wanted to find out about that, that's over there. We've got a members portal where we've got forums, we've got articles, ebooks, all the backlog of content webinars that we have, that's all over there on our members portal. And again, we've got our SAPN Connect place where we help you build your power team. So you can go on SAPN Connect and you can fill out the form and say, I need a bond originator, and we'll introduce you to the best of bond originators we know.
So basically what you're saying is there's a hell of a lot of value in that. And the list goes on.
I can grab the numbers. I'm pretty sure we valued the annual membership around 80,000 Rand.
Yeah, and easy. Yeah. And even the discounts we give to South Africa, because as investors, we always renovating properties, right? I'll just take over share there quickly. Just some of the discounts that our members have got, saving like 40 grand, 50 grand. It's amazing. So look, ladies and gents, if you had to, it's 497 Rand a month, right? Which effectively is 5,964 for the year. For those of you that do want to commit and you do want to join, it's effectively 2 months for free. So click on the link that Dave's going to post in there. If you do want to take advantage of getting 2 months for free and joining the intermediate. And as soon as you join the intermediate, you will then be invited to events like Wednesday night. Wednesday night's already sold out, still in dealer. It's sold out within a day. So intermediate and professional members get invited to what we call premier events, which are exclusive events for the intermediates and professional. These are smaller networking events. Wednesday night, I'm going to put some platters on. We're going to have some nice drinks. It was a roundtable event, and we're going to network and do business. This is where the money happens. So this is what I'm saying. This is why it's important that you are part of the SA Property Investors Network at least intermediate or above. Or if you want to, you can just join for 497 Rand a month. We do have another link in that chat box that will allow you to join and pay every month if that's more affordable for you. So the option is yours. Do you want to pay monthly, or do you want to take advantage of the annual discount and effectively save 1,000 Rand on that? That's completely up to you. So yeah, so Lindile, that's the offer that we've got for your members if they are keen to take action. I think also what we should do is Dave, if you don't mind just giving a contact email address for people that may have a question, because when we do finish this webinar, Lindile, what I suggest, even when we do close it off, we'll just stay online for a couple of minutes, just in case there are more questions about moving forwards. But otherwise, the links are there. Take action to join us, and we'll just move forwards, eh?
Okay, perfect. I'm happy to stay on to take some questions. So thank you so much, Andrew, for honoring my invite to come and just share your knowledge around the property industry and how we can get started, as well as to offer these amazing discounts for everybody to really take action. Going into the new year, as we wind down December, we sort of looking into what is it we need to do going into the new year. So I really do appreciate. For those who want to stay on the line just for a Q&A, Dave and Andrew are here. So, and myself. So if you guys have got any questions, we'll stay on until 8 o'clock. Then you're more than welcome to stay on and ask those questions. You can just raise your hand so that we know that you want to ask the question live, or if you're a bit shy, you can pop it in the question. And then if you'd like to dial off, then you're also more than welcome to do so at this stage. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. And thank you, Lindile. I love doing these and just sharing some tips and advice and opinions. And it's up to people what they want to do with it. I see Sazi. Look out for a guy called Ashley. So maybe contact that email address, Sazi. Let me connect you to Ashley. Who knows? Maybe Ashley's going to be your next business partner. You never know. That's what we do. We connect people. Okay, so I'm just going to stay on for a few seconds. And then just let me know, what does, stupid flies flying around me here. What does 2021 hold for all of you? Now that you've had a bit of an insight into different strategies, most of you did say that you want to do multi-lets. Do you also want to do multi-lets? If so, what areas do you want to do multi-lets? Is it Joburg? Is it East London? Where is it? Okay, let me know in the chat box. Okay, there's a couple of questions. Look, how long is the offer for? So Lindile, can we be fair to your members and give them 24 hours? I don't want to push anyone into a corner. Can we give them 24 hours? So if they want to do it now, they can do it now. But if they've got to make a plan tomorrow, I think it's fair that we give them 24 hours. What do you think?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, myself as well. Got this friend John flying around me here. So it's the studio lights I've got.
Okay, so Kate is asking if the course fee can be paid in monthly installments.
Yeah, so Kate, we do try to help people with monthly installments. So that's a question for Dave. So I'm sure we can do something for you. We are coming out of COVID. Times are difficult as a company. We're trying to be as flexible as we can, Kate. So please, if you can email Dave, support@sapropertynetwork.com. I mean, just say, look, Dave, I really want to do this. Money's an issue. Can you please help me with the payment plan? And let's see what we can do for you, Kate. Okay, I'll never say no. I will try to find a way to make it work.
Okay. We also have a question from Michelle. Michelle was asking, hi, Andrew, can an installment sale agreement be done on foreclosure properties as well, or only on motivated or distressed and private sellers?
So when you say foreclosure, I assume you're referring to the sale and execution. So just to explain what that is. So someone defaults, or someone's about to default on a bond, but let's just say they've defaulted. The banks get involved and the banks say, cool, you've defaulted. What are you doing about it? And each bank calls it something different. Easy sell, help you sell. And the property, there's no judgment yet, but the banks get involved. They get an agent involved. They try and motivate and work with the seller. At that stage, we can still do installment sale agreements. Let's say now the bank says, we can't help you anymore. We're putting a judgment against your name. And now we'll contact your local sheriff and we want to auction your property off. Between that judgment and the sheriff auction, the individual still owns the property. It's still under his name. It's just the banks have the right to auction the property off. Through my experience, the banks are still negotiable. So will an attorney allow you to do an installment sale? Legally, you still can because the owner still owns it, but it's up to the attorney. So it's going to be a yes and it's going to be a no. It depends on the situation. If you're willing to pay off all the arrears, if you're happy to show the bank, hey, I'm paying off all the arrears, everything's up to date, the banks will then cancel the share of auction and you can deal directly with the seller, right? So it could happen. But if the attorney's like, you know what, the share of auction's next week, this person's way too much debt and I'm not, the attorneys could just say to you, I'm not interested. Let's go to the auction. Well, the answer is no then. But if you don't try, you'll never know. At the auction, if the property doesn't sell, only then does the property get repossessed. Only then do the banks buy it and the banks become the owner. You can't do an installment sale agreement direct with the bank. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so it depends where it is in the process. And again, Silindile, we do cover that. We have interviewed an attorney about the difference when it comes to buying properties at auctions. Are you buying it before the judgment? Are you buying it after the judgment? Are you buying it at the share of auction? Or are you buying it from the bank? Investors don't realize there's 4 different areas where we can snap the property up. And we've explained in the fundamental course where those areas are. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Cool. I love these questions. Come, throw questions at me. I don't know all the answers, but I know some of the answers. And Tombi says, Bloemfontein. Tombi, I do recognize your name. You're on our Bloemfontein WhatsApp group, aren't you? Let me know, Tombi, you're already a member of the SA Property Investors Network, if I'm not mistaken. Bloemfontein has got fantastic areas for multi-lets. I'm very impressed with Bloemfontein. I was there at the beginning of this year. We've got great partners and sponsors in Bloemfontein. Fantastic place to invest. Michelle is saying Pretoria Central. Awesome, Michelle. That's good. That's good. Lucky, Joburg, and Turfloop. Interesting. Yes, Tommy, see, there we go. I've got a good memory. Okay. What else have you got there, Silindile?
I think the other question was around where to find sellers that are willing to do installment sale agreements.
Yeah, look, there's not a specific place you go to. It's more what you need to do is something that Dave's very good at, is generating a marketing funnel for leads. So you need to have the leads coming in of people thinking, wanting, or needing to sell a property. As the leads come in, what you then need to do is go, okay, great. How do I vet these leads? How do I know if they're desperate or motivated? And as you're talking to the seller, it's very difficult through an agent to do installment sale agreements, right? But or to find motivated sellers, because some agents shield the truth. They don't tell you everything. But once you start bringing your own leads in through digital marketing, through walls, through cars, through leaflets, there's a whole bunch of different things I cover on the fundamental course. Once they come in, it's your job as an investor, and I'll teach this to you. How do you know if they're motivated? Is there equity? Because depending if they're motivated or not, and depending how much equity, will depend how you buy the property. You should never just assume that you're going to buy the property in a certain way without knowing that you're solving the seller's problem. You see, when you get it right is when you sit there with a cup of coffee in the lounge with the seller, never met them before, but they've contacted you, and you start asking questions about them and their situation and why they're selling and where they're going to move to and what's the real and what's the urgency. And occasionally I'll ask these questions. As they're answering me, I'm going, bang, installment sale agreements. It hasn't come out of my mouth yet, but I'm going, bang, got another one in the bag. Or I'm going, do you know what? Installment sale agreement is not going to work, because if I do an installment sale agreement, this person's telling me they actually want to buy another property. And in order to buy the property, they've got to sell this property. They've got to free up their affordability. So installment sale agreements can't work because they've got to sell it to free up the affordability. So that strategy has got to be a bond, or it's got to be cash. So now, at least now I know, before I start negotiating, I know where I stand with the owner. And one of the hardest things of being a good property investor is to negotiate these type of deals. And unfortunately, it only comes with time and experience. But what I do is I give some real good golden nuggets in the fundamental course. So people go, okay, wow, I'm going to try that. And I'm going to try that again, or I'm going to try it another, or I'm going to try it a different way, or ask a different question. So hopefully that answers that question, eh?
Yes, I think it does.
Excellent. Yeah, finding, and you said it as well, And we'll always say it, like, finding the deals is not easy, but I've been there, done it. So has Dave. There's certain strategies, there's techniques that we showed. It doesn't happen in 2 minutes that we walk. I mean, Dave spends time live with students, walking them through setting up your own digital funnel. Imagine that you're working full time, you're sleeping, and leads come into your inbox. Hey, and they're telling you they're motivated. They're telling you they're desperate to sell. They tell you, geez, guys, I'm in a bad financial position. I need some help. Imagine being in a position, Silindile, where as you're sleeping or as you're working, you have a digital automation. Even if you're not tech, even if you are older generation, they can show you how to do it. It's very easy for Dave, not for others, not for me, but he can show you how to do it. And that's where the real money is.
No, definitely. I agree with that, Andrew, because, having those dealing directly with the seller, you actually get a better deal than dealing with the agent, because if you're dealing with an agent, you already know that, the agent's commission is loaded onto the purchase price. Yeah. Whereas if you're dealing directly with the seller, then even without any equity or anything, that already is a saving for you as the buyer, and when they know that they don't have to pay the commission. So if you get deals and you get to negotiate directly with the seller, that's when the creative strategy, and you're negotiating directly with them, and there's no broken telephone between you speaking to the agent and the agent relaying the message to the seller, and then back again, can be such a mission.
And you know what, I said to an agent the other day, I said, I said something, we were talking about, I was speaking to her for the first time and asked about installment sale agreements. And she looked at him, she goes, no, you can't do those anymore. That's old stuff. That's like back in the day. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? We do those every single week. But it showed me straight away that this agent does not know what she was doing. The fact she said that to me was like, that's not the agent. Lady, forgot her name, from Remax. I must actually invite her for Wednesday night. She's a key player in our team. She says, yeah, installment sale agreements. I can, as long as they get the commission, they're happy.
That's all they care about.
And so when you approach agents saying, if I could pay your commission up front, I always say that first. If I pay your commission up front, could you help me do an installment sale agreement? Now it's a different mindset going, well, I'm getting paid for it, so yes. But as soon as you say installment sale agreement, they think, oh, but when do I get my commission? Oh, no, I don't want that to happen. I need my com now. So it's how we approach them, right?
Yeah. Okay, so someone else is asking, how long does a fundamentals course take on average?
Cool. So some people are getting it done between 1 to 3 months. The great thing is, though, Silindile, is it's lifetime access. You can watch the videos as many times as you want. You can go through it within a few weeks if you want. But if you're busy and you only want to do one module a week, it's going to take you 3 months. So we've set it up to be flexible for everyone. So there's no pressure, but hey, if you want to move fast, you can move fast, and we can move fast with you. That's the great thing with it. It is pre-recorded. So the videos have been pre-recorded. There's the text version, there's the forum, and it is live as well. Once every month, myself and Dave jump onto a session with all of you, and we just talk, and it's just a conversation like this, but all around the students and the successes and the struggles that they're having, and the connections. We're connecting people every single time. It's fantastic.
Okay. And the other question was around, how do you know who the seller is? So say, for example, you find a lead either via email or whatever marketing strategy they've put out there, and then you find someone saying, I want to sell my house. How do you protect yourself as a buyer and knowing that you're dealing with the right person?
That's a good question. I met someone, I shouldn't laugh, but it's crazy. Shame. She actually, it was a story, it was last year. It was outside of our network. She bought a property, but the person selling wasn't the owner. He had forged everything. He had sold someone else's house. And every time the attorney said, come in and sign, there was an excuse. And it was, look, I don't know all the details, but this is a good question for that reason, right? The first thing we do when it's a private sale, because the job of an agent is to verify the seller is in fact the owner, and that there's no funny things going on, right? So if we deal with a private seller, we're now acting as agent. We've got to do that job. So first thing is, this is why you have to be a member, an intermediate or professional, because you need access to those reports. First thing we do is you pull the report that the information comes from the deeds office. So for example, let's say John calls me or John emails me. John goes, hey, Andrew, I've seen you on the website and I need to sell my property quick. And I was like, okay, great, John. I just want to get some details. It says here, is your name John Doe, for argument's sake? He goes, yeah, my name's John Doe. Cool. He doesn't realize that I've just downloaded the Lightstone report. And the property is under the name of Sherry Crosley. So I say, oh, that's interesting, John, because I can see here that the owner is Sherry. Who is Sherry? Yeah, Sherry, straight away I've caught the guy out. Because who's saying he is and who actually owns the property is two different things. So first thing is always do a cross-check. And look, you get unlimited. So we have some members, Silindita, putting over 3,000 reports down every month. And guess what? It's part of the membership. And they check in, and it's a good question. They check in details. You would then go as far as, okay, so I can see Sherry owns it. I go to the property, that's Sherry. You definitely want to get some FICA documents, but that is where our attorneys come in. So the attorneys will want to see them, ideally see them face to face. Check again that Sherry is who Sherry says she is. And look, 9.9% of 99.9% owners are honest. They are the owners. It's the 1% out there that are sharks. But through Lightstone, through the membership, we give you those tools to verify that type of information. How does that sound? You're on mute, Silindile.
I was saying that sounds really awesome. I think those reports are really, really, really useful because there's a lot of information that's in there as well. You get to find out whether there's a bond or not on the property. That's very important to know because if you know that it was a cash sale, probably, you know, that gives you extra negotiation room. You know when it was bought for, how much it was bought for. All of those things are important when coming up with the asking price. So having access to the tools that, you know, professional tools that professional investors do gives you a leg up in your negotiation because you're walking in there and you know all of this, you know who owns the property, and you can even get their contact details as well. You're asking how do you get hold of them and how do you know who the seller is. On Lightstone, you can even get their contact details and you can call them and you can say, can I speak to Andrew? You know, then you know that, you know, that's the right person that you're dealing with. So all of that is in the reports that you get from Lightstone. And I mean, if you want to take your career seriously as a property investor, there's no way that you can work without having Lightstone. And, you know, like if you can actually get their reports, you know, like buy one report at a time. And I think it's about 90 Rand, give or take, per report that you can actually buy directly on the Lightstone report. So, you know, taking a package on like this, where you've got unlimited number of reports, you know, becomes a no-brainer if you are serious about becoming a property investor.
Exactly, 100%. I see there's a question from Nanto. Thanks, David. If I have questions on a course aspect, is there a platform to seek clarity? Nanto, is that, I'm not sure that question is, she wants, or Nanto wants to find out more about the course itself, so she wants to speak to other students about the experience, or is that question on if I'm in the platform and I'm learning and I have a question, can I seek clarity? How do you read it, Silindile?
I think let's tackle both.
Okay, cool. Look, we have hundreds, we have loads of students that have been through the course. I can give you a list of people to call. Feel free to go on there. There's 59,000 people on our group. Go to the SA Information Hub. They will pop it on there and say, hey, investors, I'm thinking of doing the TPA SA Fundamental course. Is it a good course or is it a rubbish course? Be open. Go to social media. And I'll be godsmacked if one person comes. That's how confident I am. And this is being recorded. I want to see how many compliments we get about the fundamental course. Or if your question was, so it's up to you, Nanto. We can send you plenty of people's contact details. You can put on social media. Everything is open with the Academy. If you're talking about you're in the course, yes. So say you sat there, Nanto, and it's Monday and you got a question. Send Dave an email. Put a question to the forum. But remember, when you become a student of the Property Academy, you also get included in the closed Property Academy Facebook group, which is there for support. So the fundamental course has got its own support, but you automatically get added into the Property Academy closed Facebook group where you can ask any property related question and it's going to get answered. So whichever way we do this, Nanto, we're going to give you the support. Cool.
Cool. I
was a
think
power
that's all the
session.
questions that we had. And we're out of time. It's after 8. So I think let's call it a day. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And Andrew, anything from you before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, I think always like, leaving off with, we're going into 2021. It's the 7th of December. I think everyone's got to understand that there's good opportunities despite what's happened with COVID. And yes, we can expect a spike in December. And unfortunately, some businesses will close. And so you're going to see some of this negative press in the news and whatever. The reality is there is good opportunity out there. This is the time to make the money. When there's blood on the streets, there's money on the streets, right? And there's people that need our help. So get the education, wear the humble hat. Don't try to do things yourself. Work with us. This is what we do. We help people create wealth and property, and then take the action. Get out there and make it happen and change your life. And so Lindile, on behalf of us, myself, Dave, Sapin, and TPA, thank you for having us on your show. We really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Andrew. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Awesome. Cheers.